Hey, hey, hey. Time for the Out of This World story from rSpace. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Today on rSpace, gut instincts don't lie, but people, they lie all the time. Up first, a cheating spouse playing a nurse. Caught a guy in my girlfriend's bed last night, 26 female, 24 male. So last night, me and my girlfriend were in a bit of an argument that she initiated, and then after I just bit my tongue and apologized to her. She completely ignored the apology and went on about something else. The argument was that I didn't feel comfortable with her hanging out with this guy in her room alone, especially after he made some uncomfortable verbal advances to her. She then later that night told me she understood and she wouldn't have him in her room alone anymore. But when she went MIA for 2 hours, I got a little curious, and something deep inside of me kept telling me to go over to her house. Like an echoing voice in the back of my head saying, go to her house. So I eventually went over to her house after I got off my second job. As I pulled in, she texted saying she'd been reading a book. I text her regularly like, okay, that's cool, I hope you're enjoying the book. Right after I sent that last text, I walk into her room and right there, I see the guy we just had the discussion about laid up in her bed. She tried saying that his ribs were broken and he needed help, but she's not a nurse or a doctor. So I'm like, what the F? Why would your friends drop him off at your house? Why not take him to the hospital? He could have internal bleeding or something along those lines. So I'm obviously upset and I'm losing my mind. He starts talking crap to me and then I end up threatening him, but I didn't hurt anyone. She just kept saying he can't afford the hospital. But I mean, man, you're gonna have to go to the hospital over some broken ribs eventually. So this was all suspicious from the jump, especially after she just told me she wouldn't have this guy in her room alone anymore. She then texted me and said that she knows she effed up for not telling me, but she wasn't sorry for it. So I broke up with her right then and there. Mind you, she has a habit of lying to me about various things, and each time I've broken up with her for something along the lines, she's crawled back to me begging for me back and practically acting like she's changed. But at this point, I'm so mentally and emotionally exhausted or drained, I don't even know what to eat or work. I have only been eating once a day for the last month because the deep depression she caused me. How do I move on and heal? Let's see what the community thinks. First up, I recently recovered from broken ribs. You know what you don't do? Drive, cuddle, effing move in any direction because it hurts. Walk away. She's a terrible person and a bad liar. Next person says, for real, I fell out of a tree as a kid and bruised my ribs and could barely do anything. Can't even imagine what breaking them would feel like. No way he was moving around and cuddling if he was actually that injured. One more person chimes in, she's not your girlfriend. And the OP replies, obviously not anymore since I've seen that. Of course. The best treatment for internal injuries is some cozy under the covers therapy. What a joke. You dodged a bullet, OP. But I feel like the first time you broke up with her should have been the last. Go treat yourself to a decent meal. You deserve it more than she deserved your patience. Have you taken back someone you shouldn't have? Let us know below. For our next cheater, cheating once just wasn't enough. My wife cheated on me while working overseas, and I feel so numb. My wife, 30 female, and I, 29 male, have been married for 8 years and have a nice home and 3 great children. While she was away working, I was home also working on a full-time job and taking care of the children. She confessed the incident to me 3 weeks after she got back. She said that she was feeling lonely and being ostracized. This led to her getting drunk and a colleague giving her the ultimatum of putting out to keep his friendship. She gave in to the advances. She apologized to me a whole lot. But it's hard to come to terms with the fact that she not only cheated but put my health at risk by having sex with me for 3 weeks before coming clean. I'm also dealing with the images of the incident playing in my head on repeat, and I can't sleep very well. When she met, she had no such baggage from previous relationships that I thought I helped her work through. I spent years assuring her that I would never leave her. I'm a good man. I cook, I clean, and support my wife when she has hobbies she wants to pursue. I'm a logical person. When bad things happen, I review my actions, adjust, and move forward. I don't think there's any way I could have been better, but it just feels like I must have done something wrong. Edit. She got tested today and will have the results Wednesday. She also said that she had been going around the last 3 weeks trying to get tested without me knowing, and that she originally planned to tell me after getting results. Update. She confessed to cheating with another man at the first. She confessed a day after I asked her to tell me everything that happened while she was away. After I told her that I didn't want to have to find out more after the fact. She said this one was already her friend and that she was not drunk. She continued to talk to this colleague for a week after she got back. She said that she did not love him and that she wasn't trying to start a relationship with him, but her actions didn't lead me to believe this. I'm no longer entertaining any ideas of reconciliation. I'm now looking for a lawyer. I plan on taking all the assets and as much of the custody over the children I can manage to get. Wow, what a weak woman. You're absolutely right to lawyer up and go full custody mode. She doesn't deserve to be the parent in charge when she treats you and her family like that. I guess this is a huge lesson in not trying to help people who don't want help. The only baggage you should be dealing with is whatever she leaves behind when she moves out. Have you been in the same boat? Share your stories with us in the comments. Up next, she's just a friend, right? He cheated on me with his girl best friend. So today, my boyfriend, 20 male, confessed to me, 18 female, that he had sex with his girl best friend, 21 female, 3 days ago. They reconnected about a week ago after he distanced himself from her due to her inability to accept his boundaries. I was very upset about them reconnecting, so I felt like she never respected me or our relationship. She never made any effort to meet me, etc., and also felt like he was keeping us separated on purpose. I told him about this, yet he reconnected with her anyways. This is very shocking news to me, as he was so sweet and got to know my family and acted like he was going to marry me. Now I feel like an idiot because the red flags were so obvious. It's especially hard since I just moved out of town a week ago to start university and was also told 2 weeks ago that I may have a chronic illness. I'm on the waiting list to get checked out, and he even came with me to the appointment. I honestly don't know what to do. I feel isolated and alone and so shocked. His friends and him are begging me to take him back because he loves me, but honestly, I don't believe he'd do this if he did. Update. Okay, this is quite long, so stay tuned. Since everyone's asking, I decided to do an update. So after a long call with him essentially playing the victim and begging for me back, I hung up and blocked him after telling him to go F himself. Then I immediately unblocked him because I wanted him to transfer me back the money back for the expensive stuff I got him for National Boyfriend's Day and get someone to send me back my things. And when he did both, I told him to F off again and blocked him. Then he somehow found a way to contact me on Instagram and we spoke for a bit until I blocked him for good. Now I walked away and he's blocked on all socials and I suddenly feel a heavy weight lifted off of my shoulders. He also told me that he found this post and is upvoting your guys' comments. Huh? I said he was really sweet, but now I honestly should have seen the red flags and I will elaborate on them down below. At the beginning of our relationship, I had no problem with him having a female best friend, but then he started acting weirdly, which made me dislike her, without even knowing her, but now I know I was right and they're both trash. Firstly, he'd always crap talk her to me, like, for example, how she would take him to expensive restaurants, and he'd have to pay and be embarrassed, and when he told her to stop, she'd say, okay, and not listen. He also used to say very weird stuff to me like, she's the girl you should be worried about, and sent me a picture of them which said, looks like we're married, and said they were jokes after, and it all made me very uncomfortable, and it got to the point where I felt really insecure and brought it up to him and he stopped and apologized. But he kept doing stupid crap like on his birthday, she posted a picture of them cuddling they took before we started dating, which he reposted on his story and right after the picture of us, and did not listen when I was clearly upset about it and didn't want to take it down to not hurt her feelings, as she already saw it. I got so mad at him in front of his friends, and they honestly thought I was the crazy one. Guess I wasn't just paranoid and insecure after all. He also had both me and her as his lock screen, which I found weird and uncomfortable, but I thought it'd be toxic and controlling to say anything. Even told me how she said he put all the best pictures of me and not of her, which I found really weird. He only removed her once someone asked if she was his girlfriend. Just remember that he made so many excuses as to why I couldn't meet her from day one. I don't want the most important women in my life to meet because they could band together against me. And 2, she doesn't like meeting people because she's awkward, only for me to find out she'd met all his other friends. Eventually, he cut her off, and she'd call him in the middle of the night to pick her up, and I told him how uncomfortable it made me, to which he told her to stop, but according to him, she got very defensive and angry about that. But then, he reconnected with her, which I was literally crying on the phone with him telling him about how he'll just enter a toxic cycle with her again, and I didn't want to see him get hurt again, and also feel like I'm sharing my boyfriend again. But he did not listen and connected with her again. completely disregarding my feelings, saying he cared for her like a sister, and that I was the most important woman in his life, and naively, I believed him. Even in our wider relationship, he was very manipulative. Just to name a few, whenever I was upset with him, he'd basically bring up how he's struggling mentally and financially, and I'd feel bad and drop it. He recently got diagnosed with ADHD, so now anytime he'd do anything wrong, he'd blame it on that. Whenever we'd argue, he'd blame me and say it's because I was too argumentative, and he didn't like arguing. To be honest, even the start of our relationship was a red flag because he didn't want to date me because I was underage and thought his friends would judge him. He was 19 and I was 17 at the time, so legal age of consent in my country, but still considered underage, but was perfectly okay with sending me sexual messages. I was in a very vulnerable space when I met him, and I'd just been ghosted by a close friend who love-bombed me and was honestly seeking anyone to show me love. Learn from my mistakes now, and will definitely be focusing on loving myself and making sure I'm healed both mentally and physically before I start any romantic interaction with anyone. He's done even worse things, to be honest. Some are too personal to share online. Overall, I think he resented me because I'm at one of the top 3 universities in the world, and he probably thought I'd meet someone better and wanted to feel some form of control by going for a girl who wanted him and also manipulating me while I felt alone and vulnerable, so I'd stay with him during university. If I had a nickel for every time a guy pulled the, "No, you don't understand, she's just my best friend," only to turn around and do some very non-sibling activities. And the fact that he found your post and is upvoting comments, the delusion is real. Also, if you're at one of the top 3 universities, I'd check their grammar class because you keep writing run-on sentences, like paragraph-long sentences. What do you think? And thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon.